Welcome back to the Meeple Marathon. Today we're going to talk about how to play Stamp Swap from Stonemaier Games, specifically solo. So there are some how to play videos out there, but none that are covering the solo mode. So this is a set collection game with a I split you choose element within each round. So there is drafting in this game, there's set collection in this game, and there is I split you choose. So if any of those or the hobby of stamp collecting is of interest to you, then this is probably right up your alley and you should go out and purchase this immediately. Otherwise, go check out one of the other how to play videos or reviews. If you own the game or are interested in how this game plays solo, this is the video for you. So we are going to focus on those rules. I'll briefly kind of talk through how you would play in multiplayer mode. But again, this is not meant to be a how to play Stamp Swap. This is meant to be how to play it solo. All right. So I'm not going to go through setup, first of all, but just a very important part of setup to keep in mind is that whatever card you choose for this yellow slot, they're all numbered here. And so this one has a little number 19 in it. You need to make sure you choose the Automa board, the Pinzetta board, that matches that card. So you can see here, this one has the 19 and the 22 for solo mode. On the back side of this is a standard board, but there are 3 Automa boards. And the reason they give you 3 is because those 3 different boards play differently than each other, and it's all based on this yellow card. So that out of the way, setup is pretty straightforward. You just go through the book. There's a few cards that you would want to go ahead and take out, and you play with this is your event deck, this specialized event deck. You don't play with events from the standard deck of cards. So the beginning of each round is the collect phase. This is normally the drafting phase of the game. Unfortunately, in the solo mode, you don't get to draft. Pinzetta just gets a set of stamps and you get a set of stamps. So take that for what you will. So let's just see how you get those stamps. So remember, we swapped out the normal event cards. They gave us the stamps that we would draft from with these. So we're going to take one pink Automa card and flip it over. Now we're only looking at the top portion here, and it's going to tell us where Pinzetta puts theirs, whether they're face up or not, and what size they are. So this first one is a big square, and it's going to, ooh, look at that, it's a special one. It's going to go over here face up in the large pile. This next one, you can see the pattern on the back, so it's going to go face down, and it's a small square. And then we have this one where you can, it looks like there's 2 stamps in one. That's the symbol for the large rectangle. All right. Normally there's a triangle on the back, but it's going to be face up. So there we go, like that. And then this is the card symbol. So we're actually going to draw the top card from the kind of visitor deck, and it's an exhibitor card. So this would give you ongoing 1 point per blue stamp. That's not bad. And then one more is this is the small rectangle because it's not divided in half, and it's also going to be face up. So here's their 2 piles. They've kind of drafted them, and they've preliminarily placed them in their large pile and their small pile for the swap phase or the I cut you choose phase. Now for you, we're going to do something very similar, but we're going to draw another card. So now we're looking at this middle section here. So this shows us that we are, and you can line them up under your board here, we're going to get a face up small rectangle, a face down small rectangle, a face up double, we can turn it like that, a face down big one, a face up big one, big square, and a card. So we're also bringing a card into the mix, and this one is a specialist card. All right, so now in the multiplayer game, you would keep anything that you draft face down, but you would get to look at it after you've drafted it. So I'm going to flip these over just for the purposes of you guys seeing them for a second. So this is a space one. This is a flower one. The only thing I'm going to cover about this is the fact that my map, my board in particular, they're all slightly asymmetrical in the way that I have one exhibitor card. Mine looks stamps or space stamps. So this one I would try and hold on to. I'm going to flip them back over for now. All right. After we have done the collection phase, we can also look down here at the bottom of this text. So this says, Slim Pickens, discard one item from your daily collection and reserve one less this turn. Score 5 points. So that's interesting. This text kind of changes up the game a little bit. And throws things for a loop. I'm not really sure of the reasoning behind it, but in this case, we don't get to reserve one, and we would score 5 points. That's there. Normally I would do that now. I'm going to keep everything out here just for the purposes of teaching you guys. But remember, don't forget what's there. So now we go on to the appraisal step where we need these appraisal tokens. And it's going to go through and it's going to look for cards. It likes cards. It likes the forever stamps, but we don't have any in here. It also likes cards or stamps that have values of 2 or 3, and it likes stamps that meet its board criteria, where in this case is small squares. So let's start giving away some of these. So it's going to give 1 to the specialist card. It would also give 1 to any forever stamps. It would give 4 to the shiny ones. So we can go ahead and just, it's going to happen later. We'll give 4 to this one right there, but there's none on my side. We're only focused on my side. This is my cut. You choose, but I get to see how Pinzetta views my stamps. We also have all of those have a 2 or a 3 on them, and then we have some small squares, which are just right here. So it most goes after it appraises highest the rare ones, the gold foil ones. After that, it goes after what it thinks is the best type of stamp, in this case, small stamps. Now this, for their purposes, only counts as 1 small square stamp. For you, this would be 2 small square stamps. For their purposes, this is just 1 stamp, so it got 2 things. Okay, at this point now, I could choose what do I want to reserve, and I can reserve whatever I want as long as it's not a rare stamp. So I'm going to take this one. I'm going to take the one that it wants the most. I'll take those away, and now I have to create a pile of 3 and 2. Now technically it was messing me up earlier by doing that, so it's not always going to be 3 and 2, but your piles have to be a certain number, and then the large pile has to be 1 more than the other one. So in this case, let's see what the specialist card says. At the start of your turn during the swap phase, you may view all of the face down stamps in front of one player. I'm not so big on that one. And this one was a space stamp, so I actually kind of like this. I'm okay with it. This being the large pile and this being my small pile. This one is more enticing to them, and because it's the large pile, it's actually going to get an extra appraisal token. So right now it views this as 3 worth and this is 1 worth. But we can't always just manipulate it so that we make it take the pile we want. It's going to come to this decision-making deck here, this blue one. Now the rules say to shuffle this up every time you go to draw something from it, like between rounds. I'm not 100% sure. That's not how I played the first time, but after I reread the rules, that's how I've been playing. So maybe that's what you're supposed to do, maybe it's not, but we're gonna flip this over and we're only looking at the top. In this case, they threw us for a loop. We thought we were making this pile enticing, but they said, no, no, no. I'm actually thinking that this pile is 3 less than it's worth. So we actually take the higher pile, the one with more tokens in it, we remove 3 from them, and now Pinzetta chooses. So I'm just going to stick this back there. In this case, this looks more enticing to them. They tricked us. We thought we were doing it. They took our space one, and these are going to go over to their pile. These are mine now. So we could go ahead and stick these up. The 3 would go into this spot, and this one that's not a small square would go into here. Now we come over here to their side. They also appraise their stuff before they make a final decision on who goes where. So We already gave them 4 for their gold one here. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is a small square, so it's going to get 2. This is a small square, so it's going to get 2, and it's a 2 or a 3, so it gets even more. The exhibitor card gets 1. This one gets nothing. Now, this is exactly why this does this, because due to the randomness of the draw, Pinzetta realizes that their large pile is way too enticing. So what are they going to do? They're going to switch it up. They're going to take, and this one technically also has one extra one because this is the large pile. So they look to see, does one side or the other have more than 3 appraisal tokens than the other? In this case, it does. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 9. This has 10, and this side has 1. That's way more. But we're only going to move 1 stamp. So it takes the highest stamp from this side, which is the gold one. Well, we can keep it there, it doesn't matter. And it's going to swap it with the lowest stamp on this side. So it does that. If there's a tie, you go to the left. In this case now, we are done with these appraisal tokens. I get to choose now, but you see what they did? They made this left side a little less enticing than it used to be. So if I leave this one here, I'm leaving them a gold one, and that's 8 points. That's pretty good. But over here, there's at least 1, 2, 3 small stamps for me. I don't know what this is. It could be a space stamp, which would make it even better. Right now I have no blue stamps, so this card is not doing me any good. At the end of the day, I could score this at some point for 2 per small square stamp. So this would be 6 points. So this is just a little bit of strategy. I'm not meant to discuss that here. So I'm gonna take this side. All right. Okay. So at this point now, we've already put these out here. These are the ones they're stuck with. They put their gold ones here, their exhibitor cards here, their specials cards would sit off to the side. They actually don't score those at all. So you would go ahead and place your stamps out. I'm not really placing them, but we're just throwing these out here in random orders. Your specialist card goes there, and these go. They would have to go something like this. At this point, you're trying to look at see which kind of scoring cards you could hit on this round. At this point, you would choose one of these 4 cards to score off of. And you would take one of your 3 tickets. You're only ever going to get to score off of 3 of them, and you can only score off of each card once. So that's what these tickets are for. You would pick one in a multiplayer game. Other people could pick the same one, or they could pick different ones, but just know that you can't come back to that one. So in this case, maybe I would look for canceled stamp groups of 2 or more. I really only created 1, so that's 5 points. Small squares would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 2 is 10. That's not bad. But anyways, I'm not going to get into my strategy. We're here to talk about how, and this we did the swap. Now we're in the show. How Pinzetta scores their points. So they've organized them out here. Now you're going to take this green deck of cards. You shuffle this up at the beginning of the game. Do not shuffle it again, because there's 1 card in here for each one of these: the red, the orange, the yellow, and the green. So you're just going to draw 3 of these. You don't know which one's going to come up when, and let's see what they get first. So they're going after canceled stamps. So they're looking at this one right here. Now, they don't look and see how many canceled stamps they have on their board. They're simply going to look at the card. They're going to look at this card, which is number 10. So they're going to come down on here, contest ID, card number 10. And depending on what level we are deciding to play at. So if we're playing on easy, they're getting 7 points. Since it's Friday, the multiplier is just times 1. They would get 7 points. However, if we were playing on level 3 hard and it was Sunday, they would get 33 points for this card. That's because these cards, the more stamps you put on your board, get progressively worth more points. This is very similar to cartographers in that as you moved along, and we're only looking at 2 scoring cards per turn, the ones you hit on last, I think it was D and A, you obviously had more stuff on your map to score off of than in the first round, for example. So that's why that multiplier there exists. So you would go ahead, you would give them their, whatever it was, 7 points. You would have taken your, whatever you decided it was, 10. And we move on to another round. We would flip these over. We would do everything we exactly just did 2 more times for Saturday and Sunday. Once you have gone through everything that many times, we move on to endgame scoring. Now let's talk about endgame scoring. So when we move on to the final show, kind of set up what a possible kind of endgame situation would be for Pinzetta here. So Pinzetta, first off, is going to actually lose points depending on what level you're playing. So if you're playing on hard, Pinzetta stays right where they are. But if you are playing on easy or medium, easy, they're going to lose 20 points. So just as an example here, we'll tick them back playing on level 1. That's certainly what I would recommend if you're playing for the first time. I've only been successful against Pinzetta once playing on easy. So it's hard enough. So you actually reduce it, take it backwards. It's a little weird to me why they don't just tone down this kind of final scoring a little bit to figure that out, but I don't know. Anyways, after you have reduced their score, then you're going to look at the forever stamps and who has the most. Now, in a standard game, it's, as far as the forever stamps are concerned, whoever has the most gets 10 points, whoever has the second most gets 6, and third most gets 3. If, however, you're only playing with 2 players, they say that there's an imaginary third player who has 3 forever stamps. And if there's ever a tie, you would, the tied players share that level, and then the next level is skipped. So in this scenario here, the Pinzetta has 3 forever stamps. I only have 2 on my board. So Pinzetta and the imaginary player are tied. In that case, they would each get 10 points, and I would, instead of getting 6, only get 3. So let's give Pinzetta his, or their 10 points there. So they're good there. Now, this is the part that they really are going to jump ahead. So this blue deck that we had been drawing from earlier, and to my knowledge has been completely shuffled up again, is going to give you, instead of looking just at the top, we're now looking at the rest of the card. So it's going to give you some values on how to score the stamps that are on their board that you have already sorted out. So in this case, for this particular Pinzetta board, their small squares are going to be worth 6 each, but this one, remember, is only really counted as 1 stamp. On your board, it's counted as 2, but this is essentially 12 points for the Pinzetta. So they would go 25, 30, 1, 2. Then we move on here into the 2 range. So we don't count these. We don't count and just give them 6 points. They're actually receiving 9 points per stamp. So this is 3 stamps. So that's 27 points. That's a huge jump for just being 3 2 stamps that they collected. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 20 from that would be 44, 64. So see, they've already lapped us there. Then we look here, they don't have any here, so no multiplier by 6. Then they get 2 per stamp in this category. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. They're going to get 10 more. And then they don't actually get any points for these, but don't worry, they are going to score their rare golden ones. They get 2 points per forever stamp. 2, 4, 6. So 6 more points. They're back up to 30. And then last but not least, if they had had a specialist card or a exhibitor card, or an exhibitor card, they would have placed it here. I mean, they would have had it here. It would have been worth 4 points. So that's it. As far as this card is concerned, the only other thing that they're going to score for are their rare stamps. So in this case, they would do another 18 points. So they're going to jump up to 40, and they're going to finish with, 98 points at the end of the day. So that is how you score the Pinzetta. Now, obviously, you would have a chance to score more. Again, this is just meant to cover how to play the solo mode, but you would go through, you've already claimed, you know, maybe you haven't claimed your 3 points for forever stamps, and then you would go through stamp values, so 3, 4, 6, -1 is 5, back up is 6, 9, I know I'm really jumping around here, 10, 11, back to 10, back up to 11, and then another 12 is, what was that, 23? So you would take 23 points, and so that would be 18, 38, I think I'm doing my math correctly, so I'm close, catching up here. Let's see, and then I would get 2 points for my specialist card over here, and then at last but not least, we would look at our empty regions. We would look at this card. So Pinzetta does not even look at this card. If you were paying attention and set up a good grid like me, I think I have 10 empty spaces here. That would give me 30 points. So that would give me the jump. I would end up way over here at 120 to their 98. So again, this was just an example of how the final scoring goes. That's going to do it. If you have any questions, please feel free to let me know in the comment section below. And let me know your thoughts. Stamp Swap is an interesting game. It kind of scratches some itches for a few people. I'm not a huge fan of I Cut, You Choose. But this does have like a lot of collection element, set collection element to it, which makes sense because that's what stamp collecting is. It is collecting sets. And then throws in that I Cut, You Choose element. So in the multiplayer, it's an interesting game, and I feel like it could be very successful for a certain niche of people who enjoy those games. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, and let me know your thoughts of whether this solo mode seems exciting to you. Other than that, thank you for watching, and have a wonderful day.